Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another free Friday lunch webinar that we present once a month on a Friday, typically the last Friday of the month. And it's my privilege to be able to share with you some thoughts today around improving self-confidence and stepping out of our comfort zones. Two topics that are very much linked. Just for those of you who don't know me, I head up an organization called the Southern African Leadership Development and Training Institute. We also have let's call it the soft skills division, which is called Soft Skills Solutions. And we are going to, in the next month or two, start presenting masterclasses also to the public of our facility in Joburg. Just a couple of housekeeping matters. First of all, thanks again for joining us, for lending me your ears for half an hour. Please, if you wouldn't mind just muting, unless you want to ask a question at the end. 25 minutes of presentations is what I would aim at, and then allow for 5 minutes of Q&A at the end. Please avoid using the chat box because I might miss any questions that you might be posting. And then just please bear in mind that the session is recorded. And then, like I said earlier, for those of you who have just joined, the recording will be available if you want it earlier the next week, when it will be available as a vlog on our website. Please drop me a text or an email. Right, just a disclaimer before I start. I am not the magic wand that fixes everything. If I was able to fix your self-confidence and your ability to get out of your comfort zone, as far as today's topic is concerned, I would be a very rich man. What I would like to get to is to share with you tips, tools, and techniques, methods that will give you different perspectives. So the idea is to give you different perspectives, to hopefully pave the way for you to, and I know it might sound corny, but for you to assist you in becoming the best version of yourself. And my invitation to you is to reflect, to hold up the proverbial mirror, and to ask yourself, in relation to the content that I'm sharing with you today, how am I doing? Where can I improve? Where are the gaps between where I would like to be and where I'm currently finding myself? And what can I do to change for the better and to do things differently better? Self-confidence, just to start with the definition, is, according to the Oxford Dictionary, the belief or assurance in oneself, trusting our abilities, judgments, or decisions, either in general or in relation to a specific situation or activity. Specifically, I want to focus on belief or assurance in oneself. And I want to start off by sharing with you a little case study. As part of what we do and I do, we do leadership coaching. And I want to share with you a little case study that I came across a week and a half ago when I was coaching one of the coaches at a company where I'm involved in. And this lady was, let's just call her Mary. So Mary, my coachee, was about to go and leave. And part of our coaching session, what came out of it is that she's got an issue with this lady, let's call her Joanne. And because I coach different leaders at that organization, I realized, but hang on, Mary's not the only person that's got an issue with Joanne. There are two other coaches as well. And obviously I can't breach confidentiality, so I can't share that with her. But the point is, Mary was about to go and leave, and she didn't know how to handle the conflict with Joanne. And then eventually, as we went through the coaching session, I told her, listen, stop. You should now have the confidence for us to stop in our coaching session and to text Joanne and to ask her if you can see her before you go and leave. Because if you don't, you're going to have a miserable leave because you're always going to think about your conflict with Joanne. And if you do, and you manage to resolve it, you're actually going to have a very nice leave. And you knowing that when you come back to work, things are okay and things are resolved. And she did exactly that. And that evening, while she was effectively still already on leave, Mary texted me. And she said, beyond her wildest dreams, expectations, it was a great session, a super session. And she and Joanne are tight. Things are resolved, and they agreed to work together and to make things work. So I'm sharing that to you as an intro to our session today, in saying that we often just need a little bit of a nudge, just something to get us over that proverbial cliff into an area where we are willing, also because we've grown enough self-confidence to get out of our comfort zone.
What gives me confidence?
Confidence?
What gives me confidence?
What gives me confidence is
Preparation. Preparation H.
Wow.
No, seriously, what gives me confidence? Honestly, being prepared is the one thing that gives me confidence.
What gives me confidence is just still being around.
Power, money, things like that can give you confidence. But I think the real one, the only one that really matters, is belief.
Experience. Experience gives me confidence.
Probably my family and my dogs, because they love me even if I just come back from throwing the garbage out.
You can attribute it to so many different things, like your belief in an actor, whereas others might, because there's always that thing when you're casting, which is other people go, oh, really, do you think, oh, I wasn't thinking something like that.
Praise from the general public.
No, you think, no, I know who should do this.
I think knowing what I'm doing in any given situation.
And that confidence then leaks in a really good way around people. It starts to build things.
My friends and my family.
Knowledge, information. That gives me confidence.
Maybe that's cheesy, but the fact that, they just like me for who I am, or act the same towards me, whether I'm up or down, that makes me know that there's like value in just me and not all the fluff around me.
What gives me confidence as an actor is being surrounded by people who inspire me creatively and intelligently and in every sense.
What gives me confidence is the fact that everyone gets insecure.
I guess people say you're supposed to, your confidence is supposed to come from within, but I don't think it's true.
Playing incredible, inspiring women like Betty Ann Waters with the words of Pamela Gray, who is a writer.
To be an actor is a very vulnerable position many times, and confidence goes a long way in helping you overcome that vulnerability.
What gives me confidence is when I don't need confidence, I suppose. I'm doing something that I'm just connected to.
I find that I'm so much more creative and inspired and confident about the work I do when I work with people that I admire.
Like collaboration, I would say, gives me confidence. If I'm embarking on a task, whether it's acting, directing, or just a life task, if I am in partnership with someone that I trust and who shares the goal, I find that inspires me with confidence.
Right. So that video is about 9 years old, but I think a nice video to tell us that, hang on, we have different things that gives us as individuals confidence. What gives me confidence is not necessarily the thing that gives you confidence. So my invitation to you is to try and identify which are the things that gives you confidence, and to do more of that, whatever gives you confidence. And I think something that should give all of us confidence is if we look in the rearview mirror of what we have achieved in life. We so often look to the future, but we don't look back to see exactly what we have achieved. And I think if we look at what we have achieved, we'll gain the confidence in many ways that will assist us to be able to do things that we typically are not confident enough to do. And then also conversely, deal with the conflict or confidence rather knockers. The things that knocks your confidence, like perfectionism. Took me a while to realize in my life, hang on, I'm not going to be perfect. If I want to the CEO of a big company that I sent an email the other day, In the past, I would have maybe looked at it mail 5 times. No, there's no ways. Now I type it, I run Grammarly through it, and I quickly read it and I send it. And I force myself to do that. Perfectionism is something that can knock out confidence. A micromanaging boss, manager, deal with that. And also dealing with criticism or negative feedback that you sometimes get. I always say, when you get negative feedback, first confirm it with the feedback giver, because you might have misinterpreted what they said. And once you've confirmed it and they told us what you thought they told you, go and vet it or go and check it with somebody else that you look up to, whose opinion you value, to make sure that that first person's assessment was accurate. And assuming that eventually you find out that it is, then deal with that. But the point is, make sure you ignore feedback rather from people that's got bad intentions or feedback that's not accurate, as one of the conflict or confidence knockers rather. So the reality is, if we talk about actions like those, the only person who can improve your confidence is you. Nobody else. The Invictus poem, the last 2 lines of the poem that William Ernest Henley wrote, reads, "I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul." Love it, because it talks to us being in charge, because we are much more than we think we are. Also in our ability to grow our confidence and do things like stepping out of our comfort zones rather, which I'm going to get to just now. And talking about that, being in charge, we're also in charge of our self-talk. And we should never underestimate the power of self-talk. What are you saying to yourself? Because ultimately, when all is said and done, you only have you. Love this quote. Self-talk is the most powerful form of communication because it either empowers you or defeats you. Jordan Belfort, the real wolf of Wall Street, said, the only thing standing between you and your goal, also the goal potentially to grow in confidence, is the build-up story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. And when we realize our self-talk spiral into negativity, because we do realize it, then say to yourself, stop. Make a U-turn, physically as well as psychologically. Physically, go and walk around the block or go to the canteen or whatever you need to do, get away from where you are currently. And then you ask yourself, when you do that, am what I'm saying to myself the real truth, or is it just my truth, which is not the real truth? Reality is we all have a personal life coach with us 24/7. And that life coach rather is called you and me. And the question is, in the way you're talking to yourself, are you the best possible life coach you can be that confirms that you are your own best friend? Or are you actually your own worst enemy in the way you coach yourself and the way you speak to yourself, knocking your self-confidence? And there's a direct correlation, ladies and gents, between self-confidence and having the ability and the want to leave your comfort zone and to get out of your comfort zone or comfort zones. And that's why I'm linking today these 2 topics. So comfort zone defined is simply a situation where one feels safe and at ease. But I love the second line, especially that last part. It's a settled method of working that requires little effort and yields only barely acceptable results. Love this quote from Neil Walsh, saying that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And there's no reason why I like it, because, and that's not him on the surfboard, by the way, but I love this picture because it shows us that we need to try and be, especially in a volatile world like we're living in today, we need to try and be ahead of the curve. And if we're willing to move out of our comfort zones, do things better, more productively, etc., we are able to do exactly that. Live and operate ahead of the curve. I want to share with you a couple of thoughts from teenagers around getting out of their comfort zones.
I tried wakeboarding for the first time my second year here, and I couldn't get up. I was being ripped out of the boots. I was just not doing well, but I was here. I tried it every day, every activity, and I got it the last day on like my second to last run, and the whole boat went crazy, and it was just the best thing.
I've always been really afraid of heights,
So doing things like the zip line and the high ropes course and the rock wall have like pushed me to like get over my fears. And I think that has been really good for me.
The very first year I came, I was really scared of heights, and I tried naturals, and I made it up the open book. And that was a really big moment because I realized that I'd conquered my first goal, and that if I keep doing what I do, I can conquer more goals and banish fears.
I was kind of scared of high ropes just considering how tall it was, and I was kind of afraid of heights before I started it, but now it's my favorite activity at camp.
Today I did zip lining. I was super afraid to do it, but I jumped off the zip line. I felt so good afterwards.
The moment I got up there, I was really scared to like jump off, but the moment I jumped off, it was like a roller coaster ride. Like I did not want to stop.
I like leaned off and it was just really fun, and then I went again and it was just awesome. I was so happy because the fear was like keeping me from doing things, but now I can like try everything with heights. And
like a couple years ago, I tried like the zip line, and then it made me realize that I could do more things than I thought I could do. So I tried a lot of things, and it just made me feel really comfortable. So I like it a lot.
If we could only stay teenagers in that sense, that we are courageous and we're not scared to try things. Because the reality is, as we grow older, we become more risk averse. And we are more reluctant to get out of our comfort zones. And that's the reason why we need to live and be more intentional around getting out of our comfort zones. Getting to the place where the magic happens, which is not necessarily, or certainly not in your comfort zone.
Regularly pushing yourself to do the things that force you to embrace your fears is the best nutrition for your self-confidence. Get good at facing your fears. Everyone wants more confidence, but are we willing to do what it takes to obtain it? I know that it's not easy to accept it, but building confidence is not just about your inner work. Sure, there are powerful mindset strategies that will help you, but if you want to become truly confident, you have to develop a habit of getting into the arena even when you don't feel ready. And when you really think about it, facing your fears is the vital ingredient on this path. People often ask me, hey, so how did you manage to transform from a shy Polish kid with no money and anxiety issues into who you are right now? And the simple answer is, I got very good at facing my fears. For example, over a decade ago, I ran away from a stage, but rather than allowing that experience to destroy me, I pushed myself to get better and better and better. And eventually, I overcame that fear, and since then, I've been speaking on hundreds of massive stages. I was afraid of skydiving, so I prepaid for expensive jump in Dubai, told everyone about it, so I left myself no choice. And guess what? I did my skydive. I wanted to learn Spanish fast, but felt socially anxious. So I flew to Spain for 1 month, and every single day and every single night, I would talk to local people in Spanish. Was it scary? Yes, but I managed to become fluent in Spanish. I replicated it with different languages, and I overcame my social anxiety. Now, I could keep going on and on and on, but my question for you is, what is something that scares you, and what you gonna do about it today?
The reality is we're not getting out of our comfort zones. And the main reason is because of fear. Fear of embarrassment, fear of failure, also financial failure, and fear of getting hurt. Well, I want to give you a couple of criteria, which are also documented in the book I wrote around self-leadership, for stepping out of your comfort zones. First of all, ask yourself, what do you really want? Talking about motivation to get out of and step out of the comfort zone and to work harder towards achieving what you really want to achieve. Do your homework. Trust and believe and back yourself. Talking about self-confidence. That's where that comes in. And also, if you lose motivation, remind yourself along the way, why are you actually doing this? And I think if you tick those boxes amongst others, then you'll get to a point where you are courageous enough, and you certainly have enough motivation to take that leap and to get out of that comfort zone. Let's simplify it, those points that I've just mentioned. Ask yourself the question, is what I am about to attempt and that I'm too scared of, is that the first time in history that somebody is trying it? And you will probably find that the answer is no. Many people tried it before you. Second question, what is the probability of dying? Because if we have to be honest, the ultimate fear is death. And again, you will probably get to the point of acknowledging that the probability is zero. So why not follow your gut? and do what you actually know will be good for you. Let's simplify it even further. Ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? Or let's put a positive spin on it and ask yourself, what's the best thing that could happen? Because typically when we do things that we actually knew would be good for us, we never regret it. So who do you choose to be? The person that only watches skydiving, use that example, on the TV, or the person that gathers a little bit more motivation and confidence and courage to go and do skydiving in a simulator only, or somebody that's really serious about getting out of your comfort zones to do the real deal, like I've done, without a tandem jumper with me. So if you're too scared to start big, to go to that last step on the previous slide, then start small and start now. As long as you keep moving towards achieving your goal and getting yourself to get out of your comfort zones. Jim Ronan's quote reads, we must all suffer one of two things, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And I want to swap the discipline for getting out of my comfort zone, and I want to swap the pain for discomfort. Because we sometimes think, oh, it's going to be painful to get out of my comfort zone. It's not. It's just going to be uncomfortable initially. So if we have to rewrite that quote, I want to read it as, we must all suffer one of two things, the initial discomfort of getting out of my comfort zones or the pain of regret. And I don't know about you, but I'll rather suffer the first one. I don't want to be that guy that sits on the bench one day with my dear wife and look back at the one life that I've been blessed with and say, oof, I regret I didn't get out of my comfort zones enough. And my story, just briefly, because we're running out of time, I got my last paycheck on the 25th of March 2020, and we all know what happened on the 26th of March 2020. Nice big paycheck from the corporate world. And then I left to finish my PhD because I gave 3 months notice. And then COVID hit. I finished my PhD. I wrote a book. And in that process, I pivoted, I can use that term, and I did something that nobody else in my family ever did, and I started my own business in leadership development and training, which is something I did my PhD in as well. Was it scary? Absolutely. Totally. A lot of friends told me afterwards, they didn't want to tell me at the time, but they thought I'm insane. Am I still scared sometimes? Absolutely. Do I regret? No ways. Even if it makes me go bankrupt one day, it's much more valuable than sitting on the bench one day and saying to myself, I should have tried it, I didn't. So the big question is, when last did you do something that's scary, like Jimmy said in the video? Something that will take you out of your comfort zone. And don't tell me you live in Joburg like I do, and you get into your car and you have to face the potential hijacking or potholes. That doesn't count, frankly. Really something that you wanted to do that you were typically too scared of doing. I want to finish off with this quote from Madiba, saying that there's no passion to be found in settling for a life that is less than the one you're capable of living. And I honestly believe, and hopefully you would agree with me, that if we are able to intentionally grow our self-confidence and our ability to step out of our comfort zones, then we should be able to live a life that we don't regret, a life that we are truly capable of living. Just briefly, I always say this at the end in terms of the soft skills things that I share with you, being the intrapersonal and interpersonal skills. We get qualified and we have a certificate against the world to be proof that we are a doctors, and that I am a engineer or accountant, whatever the case might be. But soft skills, we need to certify ourselves. Nobody can certify you with a degree in having enough self-confidence or being able to step out of your comfort zone. No. You have to certify yourself, and you're only doing it by using things like what I've shared with you today to practice and practice and practice to the point where you certify yourself and you say to yourself, I'm comfortable. I've mastered this area of my life. Wrote a book about this stuff. If you're more interested, just in the interest of time, I'm finishing off. Please register on our website or drop me a mail if I need to send you the link to future free Friday webinars, topics. And the last one is not, please let me know. It's a question of, I would love to get your input to give me ideas of what you would like me to present. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end. Thank you very much. Before I get to Q&A, those are my details. Please join me on LinkedIn. I will appreciate that. And with that said, I'm going to stop sharing, and I am going to question mode. I'm 1 minute over time, but maybe there's 1 or 2 questions that you would like to ask me in relation to the topic or anything else for that matter. It's very lonely up here, please.
Oh, Hekkie,
Stefan,
Stefan here. No, I've put a summary there. I've put a
please.
summary there in the chat of what I've heard today, and I think thanks for that. Emma also commented there. She's also from Pragma. She really needed to hear some of this today, and take a moment from the hard skill technical time to remember the person's side of life too. So I think that's wonderful feedback.
Yeah,
and to me, it's basically, I think what you said in the beginning is looking back and looking at what you've achieved is an extremely important action to take. We sometimes are so presently focused and looking at the future, and maybe we don't have confidence in what we do at the moment, and then we just simply forget about the past. And as I said, there's looking back, identifying those things, and making sure that you do more of that. The stuff that really energizes you. So I think it's great, and thanks for sharing.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much, Stefan. Anybody else before we close off? Any questions? Nothing else in the chat box, Stefan?
Rini, also here from Pragma, said your self-confidence can always change. Acknowledge when it's low, and work on it, and celebrate it when it's higher. That's an achievement.
Yeah, we don't acknowledge our successes often enough in terms of what you're saying. I agree. And when it's low, do something about it. Again, you're in charge. You can make it happen.
And surrounding you. I'm just coming out of a session of my fellow Holdings GSS guys and girls, and just interacting and talking and sharing what's happening in your lives as well. You gain confidence out of other energetic people, hearing people doing stuff. Had a wonderful session earlier this week, just working together with other colleagues to set up a client session, and just seeing how everybody bring their strengths to the table. That was energizing. That builds confidence. And if we allow each other to just operate in the space where you need to operate, where you do something that nobody else can do, maybe as well as you do it, and allow those team members to come to the front and do their little part. And then you put all of those little parts together. It's amazing what happens. So and that, for me, builds confidence.
Synergy of playing everybody at their strengths, and
absolutely
team synergy, and the power of the team. Right, what I'm going to keep you guys. Brenda, have you got a question?
Not a question, just a comment. Something that I've done recently is I've joined Toastmasters. If anybody knows about that, it helps you develop your confidence in speaking in front of people and giving you the confidence to say what you want to say and to present in front of people. So Toastmasters is still very much around, and it's going very strong, and it's a very good, it should be a life skill for anybody entering the workplace, and being able to be confident in everything you do. So that's just my 5 cents worth.
Yeah, that's more than 5 cents, Brenda. Thanks a lot for mentioning that. I think, and I don't have time now to Google it again. I'll stand to be corrected here. I think there are 14,000, some crazy amount of Toastmasters clubs around the world, which is proof that so many people find it challenging to talk in front of other people, and don't have the confidence to do that. So please Google. Thank you, Brenda, for that. Nearest Toastmasters club to me.
16,200 now.
16,200. It's crazy. So please Google if you battle with this. Closest Toastmasters, toast as in toast you eat, masters. Toastmasters as in cheers at being MC, but Toastmasters clubs in your area. Go and join them. All those people are like-minded. They all battle. No, battle's the wrong word. They all find it challenging in terms of gaining enough confidence to speak with confidence and confidently in front of other people. So please do that if you find that it's a challenge in your life. And you will find, again, the more you practice it, the more you get more confident, and the more, thanks for that, Stefan. In the chat box, there's the link. The more you practice it, the more you get confident, and the easier it gets, and you can tick that box in terms of a soft skill or skill that you've mastered. On that note, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Thanks once again for joining us and for lending me your ears. I look forward to seeing you guys next time, and all the best, and have a super weekend. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hekkie. Take care.
Thanks, Stefan. Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.